Welcome back, Bulldogs. Wow, last week just flew by, but it was only a couple of days. So now we are going to get into our content. And if you remember last week, we are going to start reading Peter Pan this week. And we've got a couple of things that we're going to be doing with it. In addition to reading Peter Pan, we're also going to be connecting that story to some of the other skills that we need to learn. So let's get started. And there we go. We're loading. Okay, so today and for the rest of the day, we are going to work with our context clues. I'm sure you guys remember those. And we're just going to come and give you a little touch up on those, and dictionary skills. Now, I know you guys know how to use a dictionary. We've been using those for years. However, we want to make sure we're using them in the most efficient way we can to make the best use of our time. And how I'm going to know that you guys are able to do those things, I have a vocabulary assignment for you to do. Just chat over chapters 1 and 2 of the story. You are going to play a Kahoot for Peter Pan. And I've got some comprehension questions for you. Okay. Now, we are also going to be taking notes over the story as we go along. And I know it seems like a lot. I'm going to walk you through each of these assignments and show you that they're really not that bad. So let's start with our notes. You're going to click on that link. You're going to make a copy. It doesn't let you do anything until you make a copy. And it looks just like this. You have 1 page for each chapter of the story. And I'm only giving you the first 4 chapters, so nothing to worry about. And just read through it. Any box that just is blank and saying type here, that's just for you to take your own notes as we read through the story. What was shocking, what surprised you, etc. However, I do have some questions to guide your reading, and I want you to look to answer those. This one, for example, on chapter 1, asks you to predict the theme of the novel. Remember, the theme is the main message. And then in the middle of Big Ben here, you have what genre would you classify Peter Pan as being? And then you're going to fill in each of these 4 squares with at least 2 physical traits and 2 personality traits for Peter. Each page has a little something different. So just take your time and read through it as you're reading the story. Okay? Go. Okay. You're going to be using your context clues and your dictionary skills to complete your vocabulary pages. I have your vocabulary page. It's only through chapters 1 and 2 today, and there's only 8 questions. So you're going to read through these sentences, you're going to click where it says type here, and you're going to type in your answer. Okay? If I can get rid of that. Okay. You are also going to be, if I can get through this, answering a few comprehension questions. Again, there's not many. You're going to make a copy. And there's only 4 questions. Okay, so just take your time, and you have that to do today as well. And then I have just a quick little Kahoot, 10 questions. Okay, that is going to be how I'm going to gauge your attendance for today. Okay. There will also be, this is an assignment that will be listed as an assignment on Canvas. It's not going to be included in one of my presentations I send you, because you have all week for this, because if you look here, this is all 4 chapters that we're going to read this week. So I don't want you to rush through and get the first 4 chapters of vocabulary done today when you probably haven't even read the chapters for it. So that's just going to be listed in assignments, and I will remind you of that. Okay. So if you have any questions on those assignments, please just shoot me an email and we will work through it. Okay. So before we get into it, your annotation, which is what you're going to use for your Peter Pan note pages, that because you can't write on your computer. So you're going to take your notes on the paper, or you're going to type them out, and that's just how you're going to annotate. Okay, so why do we need to annotate? That's how you can engage with the text. That's how you can interact with it. Ask questions and find answers. It's also going to help you focus. If you're reading just to skim and speed read through it, you're not really paying attention to what you've actually read. So annotating helps you to slow down and pay attention to what you've read and take a note on it. When you do that, you're going to be able to remember that later. Okay, when you take the time to read it and then think of a question or think of a phrase to the side and write about it, you're going to remember that a lot longer. So how do we annotate? Okay, you're going to comment on a specific phrase. Maybe it's unusual. It could be in a different language. Some of the novels that you're going to be reading from now on might have a phrase or two in another language, just to give more meaning. You might want to circle that and put it out to the side. But here's the thing. Just because you need to do that for a phrase doesn't mean that a classmate needs to. It's whatever interests you or might be confusing to you. You might need to jot down the meaning of an unknown word, something you need to look up later. Like, hey, what does that word mean? And look it up later. Or go back to use your context clues later. Okay? And you can also write questions as you go. Okay? And that can help you as you're reading through it. You know, it can help you identify your key ideas that you're going to need. Okay? This is an example of a page from a story that is annotated. See how it's all highlighted and there's notes out to the side? That's kind of what your annotating should look like. Now, when you're just taking notes on a page to the side, it doesn't necessarily need to look like that. But you see here, it starts with a paragraph or a quick poem. Old Longings, Nomadic Leap. What does that mean? Well, that's why we write it out to the side. We give a quick explanation what we think it might mean. Okay? Real quick, you're also going to be having, as part of your grammar test later in the week, we're going to be talking about your parts of speech that you all know. You know most of these. You know, a noun is a person, place, or thing. Okay? You know a verb shows action. You know the adjective describes your noun. What kind of table? That's a black table. That's a big table. That's a wooden table. Those are adjectives. An adverb describes your verb. She ran. How did she run? She ran quickly. A word that takes the place of a noun. My sister went to the store. She went to the store. Those are pronouns. Okay. Now, the next three you may not have had much experience with, so we're just going to go through them real quick. Something that comes before a noun or pronoun to show where or when. So, it doesn't have to come before. It can come after as well. It is something that's going to connect your noun or your pronoun to the rest of what's going on in the sentence. So when you think of these words, think of anywhere a mouse could go. Okay, those are your prepositions. The mouse went under the table. The mouse went near the door. The mouse went above the cat. Okay, those are your prepositions. Gives you an idea of where something is or how it is. Okay, when you have compound sentences or you've got groups of words and you need to connect them, you're going to use your conjunctions. You're going to use fanboys. Remember those? For, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Those are your commonly used conjunctions. Another new one that you might not know about are the interjections. Your wow, ouch, whoa, yay. Those are your interjections. It shows emotion. You can see the emotion when you read it. Okay. Okay, so we're going to get into our vocabulary. When you are working with your vocabulary, you might need a dictionary. So I'm reading the word nomadic. I have no idea what that means. I'm going to open my dictionary. It could look like this. You're going to have the line that shows how many syllables are in that word. So you're not clapping anymore. You're not counting down your arm anymore. You can look and see nomadic has 1, 2, 3 syllables. Then you have your pronunciation guide. That's how you should pronounce it. Okay? Because there's a K in this, but there's not a K in the actual word. That means I make that hard k sound, nomadic k, okay? And then it's going to tell me the part of speech. Now, sometimes some words can be multiple parts of speech, okay? Depending on how it is used in your sentence. But in this case, nomadic is always an adjective. And then here's a definition for it. Some dictionaries even give you an example of that word. Just a very brief example. You're not going to get a whole sentence, and those dictionaries will be huge. But this one is fairly concise. So when you're working with your vocabulary later, you can use your dictionaries to help you understand what those words mean. If you need something beyond a dictionary, because maybe you don't have a dictionary, you can use your context clues. Okay? Your context clues allow you to use the text to understand the meaning of a word. You don't need an extra dictionary for that. So there's types of context clues you can use. You can use an inference, and that is not giving you exactly the meaning, but helping you to guess. It's an educated guess. So the example I have for you is, don't want to work with Ricardo unless you want to hear him talk about himself. He is so arrogant. What does arrogant mean? It means he's just going to talk about himself. Maybe. That's a pretty good guess. You could use a definition. Sometimes a word is actually defined in that sentence or in the paragraph. Ricardo is so arrogant. He thinks he is more important than everyone else. Arrogant means more important than everyone else. Okay? You have an example. Ricardo is so arrogant. He's always bragging about how great he is at sports. What do we think arrogant means? Bragging. It's a good synonym. It's a good example. To be arrogant means he's going to brag. You could use an antonym. That is an opposite meaning. Okay? So if Ricardo is arrogant, he needs to learn to be humble, like his little brother Jose. So if he needs to learn to be humble, that means he's not humble, arrogant. Okay? You see that connection? You can also use a synonym. Those are words with the same meaning. It could look a lot like an example, but sometimes they're different. Ricardo is so arrogant, proud, self-centered, and overbearing. Any of these other three words could help us understand what arrogant means. Okay? So let's look at, before we go, let's look at what we need to make sure that we finish today. So I'm going to pull up your agenda that your parents may have seen earlier in the week. Remember, we wanted to use our context clues and dictionary skills to be able to understand the meaning of our new vocabulary words. Okay? And part of our activities now, being at home, you're not going to be working on your binder, but you will need to work on your vocabulary, which has been attached. You're going to need to complete your Peter Pan comprehension, excuse me, which is also in your assignments on Canvas. So both of these are on Canvas. Okay, I have a part of speech Kahoot game that will just let you practice your parts of speech before your grammar assessment on Friday. Okay, and I do have your Peter Pan Kahoot for chapters 1 and 2. That is required. Okay, that is just a quick 10 questions. And I know if you guys do your reading, you'll be great. So you definitely need to get started on your reading today. You need chapters 1 and 2 read at least. But before the end of the week, you're going to need to read chapters 3 and 4. Okay, that's your assignment for the week. And then you've got all these others in there as well. So if you have any questions, please shoot me an email. Hopefully I'll have a phone number so you can call and text throughout the week. I will let you guys know as soon as I have that. Or you guys can reach me on Remind. I know some of your parents have already joined on that. Okay, and like I said, if you message me, I'm not going to leave you hanging. I will get back to you very quickly, especially if it's a question about your assignments. Okay, so good luck, and I will have more postings for you tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye.